just keep rolling like this, and then eventually we'll have a good start point for something, you know. But yeah, no, it was so the powerlifters are like they're your nerdy types. Most of my friends like Jats, I think he's a good example. He's not like introverted, but he does enjoy like. I think maybe he is a bit introverted because he does spend a lot of time at home.
Definitely, yeah.
Because like I think the idea of an introvert is like social situations will drain them,
exhaust them. Yeah,
like it's good for them and all, but they have to go home and recharge.
Yeah,
right. And then I can, for example, I'm like 98% extroverted. I can like if I feel like shit, I have to go out. Like I know that it's time for me to see people. When I've been at home too long, like working or whatever, it's okay, time to go out. And then I go out and I come home like you know, pumped up, feeling awesome. I can do that shit like all day.
It's just funny because I just think about it, and I think about the team here at PPS, and you know, we're all powerlifters, or bodybuilders. We're quite similar type people. Most 90% of us introverted, I feel, you know, and then just chatting to you just then, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy really loves to chat. He's an extrovert,
dude,
you know, because it's just, and I just realized like the amount of people becoming personal trainers who are quite introverted, which isn't a bad thing, but it can make it just harder on the relationship side of things. You know, it's not just, hey, this is how to deadlift. The person will remember how you make them feel, not the outcome of what you taught them.
Right. Yeah. It's not about the nuts and bolts. It's the way you make them feel.
That's how you create that trust. That's how you create that relationship. Then the nuts and bolts comes from that. Most people that train at PPS, they don't come to be powerlifters. They come to feel comfortable in the gym, and we've sort of proven ourselves to help non-gym people feel comfortable in the gym. We use that vehicle to train them and help them build better bodies or achieve their goals. But deep down underneath it all, they don't probably care that much about squat, bench and deadlift.
No.
They come for the relationship, how we make them feel and who we can help them transform into.
That's I think what you just said, you train like non-gym people. I think that's exactly my clientele as well. Because, I mean, you probably hear this when you chat with clients when they're starting out. They often just say really normal stuff. Like, I work like sitting down a lot of the day, and I just want to I just want to balance things out. I don't care about looking muscular or being super strong. Like, I don't care how much weight I lift. Like, I hear these things all the time. Like, they're not really gym people. They don't consider themselves someone who like gets a lot of enjoyment out of going to the gym, but they want all of the effects that it has. Like they want to make friends. They want to kind of have an hour of their day where they're not maybe having to do something like kids or work or whatever. They want to come in and just forget about that. And then I think like having someone that just really listens, like a full hour of their time, someone is paying like undivided attention to them.
Making them feel special.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they don't say that, but obviously when you give that to them and then they stay around and then they start integrating in the community and making friends and stuff, you know that they're getting something good out of it. I mean, of course, they're going to look great and all that stuff as well.
But it's like, I feel too, a lot of people start at PPS and a lot of our listeners would have started out of necessity because they had to, you know, like I've got to do something, you know what I mean? I'm not exercising. I don't feel great about myself. I'm sluggish. I don't feel confident when I look in the mirror. They start with just the mini commitment of doing a program and committing to the minimal, just so they know they've taken some action. And that's where I feel the whole like, oh, I don't want to deadlift 300 kilos. I don't want to get too big or too lean or anything.
I don't want to get too
Comes
big.
from starts there. But the amount of people that have achieved those exact type of results who started that conversation at PPS is huge. And I think it's just because they start first and then we're able to build that relationship and help shift that identity, you know? What do people come to you with? What are the main problems?
Okay. So again, it's like, I think 90% of the general population, they have the same kind of general concerns. So they often come because maybe they're at a low point or something. They feel like now it's the time, you know, so they're in that kind of that action phase. Now something has kind of struck to them and they feel like now it's time to reach out. So often it's like they've reached a certain body weight or maybe they might be injured, but a lot of the time, actually, like the number one thing that I hear, because this is one of the things that I'm always talking about, is they feel like they're not motivated, right? And they need someone, sometimes, like they literally say, like, someone to kick my ass.
Yeah.
Like that they just need that. They need that accountability. They need someone who's going, I think, to listen.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my clients as well, they're kind of sick of the fitness industry, like the way it's portrayed.
Preachy.
Like, preachy.
Yeah.
And
pushy.
like show off, pushy.
Yeah.
You've got like, I don't know. I don't really see ads for this stuff. I think maybe because the algorithm doesn't show me those ads. Yeah. But maybe if I had a different personality type. But the ads that people see, a jacked dude with a six pack, or a girl with like, you know, beach body bikini, and they're looking great and do this thing to look and feel better. And I think they're so bombarded with that, and that they don't resonate with that. Like, I don't want to look like this, and I don't want to have to do things this way. I just want someone who's going to listen, you know, or
be understood.
Yeah, be understood, because they feel like I'm not the same as that person. That's like a normal person with a normal functioning brain. And a lot of the people that come to me, they've got like traumas, or they've got depression, anxiety. So they see like attractive, confident people, and they just go, well, that's not me. I can't train with this guy, because this
I can't relate to that.
Yeah, I can't relate to that, because this guy's gonna just, I mean, this is what they think they're gonna get from regular personal trainers. Like, they're gonna just tell me what to eat, and they're gonna pump me up with like motivational like phrases and stuff. Like they think it's gonna be, hopefully it's not like that. I haven't trained with any of those guys. But yeah, like they don't want that. So then what my message sort of is like, like you're feeling like crap, you know, you're going to be anxious of going to gyms. Like, it's a completely normal thing. So many people just like you are terrified of going into the gym. Like, there's so many things going through their head. Or some of you will find it very hard just to even get out of bed in the morning. Like, your motivation can be completely drained. And I think when they hear those messages, then people will often admit to me, like, I've been struggling with my mental health. So they often come to me with some sort of cry for help, like, I need help motivating. I need someone who understands me, someone who isn't going to just, you know, pump me up full of motivational phrases, you know?
Well, it's got to be relatable, and those people wouldn't open up to you if they didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
They didn't trust you. So there's obviously a reason they feel they can open up to you. And if it is the ads they're being bombarded with, probably have pictures of people at 19, 21, maybe just work at a sup store part-time, still live at home with their parents, maybe do a bit of study at uni.
Yeah.
But they don't have 3 kids, they're not divorced, they're not struggling under pressure at work, you know, they're not struggling to find a rental in this Perth property market, they're not under that same sort of pressure, so they probably just don't, and then they're preaching on people that, hey, you have to look like this or else you're not a successful person, you're not a good person unless you have abs and, you know, all that stuff. It's not helping these people.
No,
you know? So why do these people have trust in you, you feel?
Why do they have trust? I feel, I mean, I really don't push people. So like, again, like a lot of my coaching style is just, I'm going to be just asking them questions, eliciting reasons from them. Like, very rarely will I actually kind of put my goals on the client, like tell them what they need to do. In fact, I sit back and have them explain to me everything that they want. And I don't know, this might sound really basic, and I think a lot of people say that they do this, but that's like my whole kind of modality is, it's a client-led endeavor. So the client is leading the way. I'm sitting back, kind of like I'm their co-driver, just, you know, with the sheet of paper, giving them the directions, like that's the questions. They're driving. And whenever they need the kind of physical, the nuts and bolts help, of course I've got all that, you know. You want to talk about nutrition and training, like all the know-how, I've got that. But for the most part, I'm letting them drive.
It's very cool.
And I think when you give people that autonomy, like you give it to them, it's empowering, but also they feel a lot more like they trust you. You know, because what they're getting from you is, oh, this guy trusts me. He's giving me all of the power here. He's asking me questions. I'm talking like most of the time. I think this is someone who I want to work with.
Yeah.
At least whenever I run feedback from my clients, they really enjoy how they don't feel judged. Okay, I don't want to push my ideas onto them. Again, it's really about them, their process, their journey, because I don't really know what's going on in their head. So I have to elicit it from them. So they just really like the way that there's like a non-judgmental vibe. Like they say this again and again. There's no judgment coming from me. It's hard to find out what I actually think most of the time. I'm just taking it all in, asking questions, and a lot of the time that's kind of how we get to our results as well.
Yeah, awesome, man. Is there enough coaches doing that in the fitness industry right now?
Ooh.
What's your experience?
Yeah, okay. Well, I run these seminars, as you know, came in last week. And through those seminars, I spend a lot of time walking around and like listening, like listening to you guys chatting and all that. I've worked in a lot of different gyms, and you overhear a lot of things, and I like to pay attention, pick up patterns that I find. I mean, again, I think every coach, they really want to help. Like you can see they do.
Yeah.
But what you see a lot of is kind of, they're always quick to interject.
Yeah.
Like they're always quick to jump in.
Guilty.
Yeah, I know. like I said,
the problem solver.
I know.
Yeah.
We want to solve our their problems. Like that's what we want more than anything. So we get kind of trigger happy with our advice.
Yeah.
Or we hear them say how they have a problem, and then boom, our head has already figured it out.
Yeah.
And then we want to help.
Yeah.
So I have to like remember to sit on my hands sometimes, because that kind of gives me the cue to like shut up.
Yeah. Okay.
I sit on my hands. It's like, this isn't about you. Don't flex your knowledge.
You don't have to be Mr. Right.
Yeah. Don't write it straight away. Don't give a personal anecdote about how awesome you are. Just like let them talk. Keep asking questions. Keep going, and then kind of when they're dumbfounded, now it's the time to like jump in. But I think what I hear in gyms is, person will be like, oh yeah, like I'm struggling to lose weight. Like we've been training for 6 weeks now and I haven't seen any results. And like, that's kind of as far as the conversation might go for some coaches. And boom, they jump in. Oh, okay, how many carbs have you been eating? And then here comes the barrage of close-ended questions, you know, and then the client is kind of like, they're not bringing up their problems anymore. Now they're being lectured to again. So awesome. I see that a lot, like coaches doing that sort of thing. And again, I think that's just coming because they want to help. Yeah. And that's what their brain is doing. It's like, okay, problem, solution, bang. But I think they haven't quite understood the kind of the therapeutic side of having conversation, where it needs to be, you need to listen first and then give your advice, you know.
And I know from my experience, man, as a coach, or even, you know, as a business owner here, you do feel like you have to be Mr. or Mrs. Fix-It. Oh, this person's got a problem, I need to quickly prove myself and let them know I have an answer. And part of that could feel like, because you're letting that person down, they might come to you and be like, hey, Johnny, I'm not seeing the results I'm after, and then you suddenly feel threatened. Yeah. And you feel like, man, I'm meant to be this coach. I'm meant to be helping this person see results. They're not seeing it. Let's quickly get in there with the spanner. They pull the hammer out as well, and let's solve this problem. Not understanding what the true cause might be. You know?
It does suck.
I guess it's an ego thing.
Yeah. It does suck when you're working with the client and they're not getting the results. Like that's like one of my worst nightmares. It's like you've been training with them for 2 months and nothing has happened yet, and they're starting to get antsy, because then that like, I also feel it as well. Like there's kind of this urgency starts to build up, and you're like, oh crap,
fight or flight.
Oh no, he's gonna leave soon. This is gonna be horrible. I have to fix this now. You know. So like it does also start to like, then you really feel the push. Okay, now we got to push harder, because this guy's not getting results. But I think not getting results is like a perfect situation. Like there's something isn't right. You know, and I think it's the best time to listen now, because something isn't right. Maybe why aren't they doing their training? Or, you know, why aren't they eating the way they're supposed to? I should really listen here, do the best I can to like empathize. Like if I was in their situation, I would probably feel the same way, you know, I would probably have the same problem. But it does get frightening. And you know what? I think some clients, like they sometimes do actually want to just hear the business. Like they do want to hear the facts. Like, so I have to be careful sometimes, because I've had some clients who have left because I took way too much of that hippie sort of therapist approach.
Okay.
But they were way more organized than I thought they were.
Yeah,
they were really organized.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe it was kind of me underestimating them. Like, oh, they haven't figured this out yet. We've got to take this slower. But in fact, what this person wanted was like literally a meal plan because she was so regimented and organized. But in a way, I kind of got stuck in my typical kind of like, let's talk about this, questioning.
Yeah.
And I think what she really needed was actually just, what are the nuts and bolts? Like she had the life skills to actually do it, you know? So sometimes that's not actually a bad thing, you know? Like it's not actually a bad thing to give the meal plan, which I don't really believe in too much. Do you guys do like meal plans?
Man, we can be pretty flexible with the nutrition side of things. It's like, I guess, once again, and what I was going to say with you and that client, it probably just comes down to the coach having that relationship with someone to know what buttons need pushing.
Yeah.
You know? And same thing with nutrition. Like, look, if this person needs a meal plan and that's what's going to help them get started on their journey with nutrition, a bit of structure, a bit more of direct guidance. They don't want to learn about nutrition, macros and all that stuff yet. Let's start there. If they need another approach, that just comes down to that individual relationship, you know. Once again, not being so rigid as a coach, having that one philosophy, because there's so many different types of people out there. Everyone's got different needs. Everyone's got different buttons that need pushing. That's where the coaching conversations come into it, and asking the right questions, or even just having the time to get to know and build a relationship with someone to take them on that journey through those different phases. If you don't believe in meal plans, cool. Let's start there. Let's give the client what they think they want. Let's start there and take them on the journey to what they actually need long term. But if you force it on them from day one, you're just going to push them away.
I've given, like at the beginning of the career, like countless meal plans, because again, you've got all the answers and like, boom, eat this. And I think there's almost like nothing more personal in someone's life than what they put in their mouth. Like 3 times a day. Like it's like you build up your entire existence is like literally dependent upon food.
And
I think
obsess over it,
dude. And people use it. Oh, it's everywhere. Like you spend time with friends eating. Like people use it to soothe. Or people have like it. It's such a tangled up like little issue for some people. And if you just come along and just like slap a piece of paper on the table with like 4 eggs for breakfast, like it can be. I can see why for some people it's so hard. Like our entire biology is based around food. So like if like, and some people grow up eating different stuff. So it's very hard for some people to, like, they might think they want a meal plan too, but once they've actually got it, they didn't actually realize how complicated this whole thing actually is. I can't eat the thing that
and
the guy
maybe you
gave
had
me.
to go through that for them to find the answer, right? Because the client wants to make the decision. You know, that's where they get that buy-in. But man, how did you get to this point? How have you got to be sitting here today? Tell us about the start of your fitness journey and from you being a fitness client.
All right. So my humble beginnings, I don't know, if you talk to most people in our little circle, it normally comes from like childhood, I think. Like they start lifting weights. Like there might be a weight set at home. They start picking it up. So like... Did
you?
Yeah. I've been short my whole life. And as a kid, like being short and everyone else was tall, and like you get picked on at school for being like little. And I thought, I don't want to be like short and weak. You know, let's not.
Lucky you got a good personality, man. You're quite funny too, which is helpful.
I think if you're short, you kind of have to develop a personality because you kind of lucked out on the height side of things. So people don't treat you the same. Like if you're short, they tend to underestimate you, and so I think that drove me to be like, I'm gonna be stronger than these kids at school. You know. I started running and I just trained. I just wanted to be like badass. And I think eventually it started to pay off. People started to notice me because I was like very fit. And then that gave me like validation. And I think wherever a child who's like anxious and stressed, I think wherever they're getting validation from, they're going to go there. So I was like, oh, well this, like it's just like a simple like classic conditioning. Like when I lifted weights, people treated me better because I was fit. And so I just kept on going down that path. Like, okay, there's gold down here. Kept on striking that and finding that it was getting me, it also made me feel awesome too. Like you kind of look better and feel better. And then it takes me to high school, and then I start doing phys ed studies because again.
So you're at primary school lifting weights.
Yeah.
Awesome,
I was 12 years old.
Nice.
12, like bicep curls, push-ups, sit-ups, just whatever like I knew about fitness at the time, which is like a 12-year-old has only seen in movies, and there wasn't really YouTube back then, so it was just whatever I knew. And then high school, I was into sports and phys ed studies, and then that leads where you have a chat with the careers counselor at school, and like you don't know what the hell you're doing at that age. They're doing their best to try to give you some direction, and so they ask you like, what are you into? And so, I like sport and lifting weights. And then they go, okay, well then exercise science. And then you go, sure, why not? I guess that's what I have to do. And then you go into exercise science. I did that, and then it wasn't until like I finished uni and you're kind of like out and you're actually like in the real world, and you start to like look around, like you're not having your like no one's holding your hand anymore, like telling you where to go. That's when I was like, okay, I want to go to Finland.
Okay.
Yeah, and then went to Finland. That was 6 years of all sorts of different things. But what kept bringing me back, like I kept having the sort of the pull to come back to the gym, back to fitness, back to personal training. Started doing it in your kind of normal Globo gym, sort of big fitness chain. I was PTing there in Finland, and I noticed that there were a lot of clients coming. This is in Finland, by the way, where they have, I think, some of the highest depression rates like in the world, which is really funny because they also have like the happiest like ratings. So like, Helsinki is like the happiest city in the world, which is funny because they also have an incredible high amount of depression.
Why do they have a high amount of depression?
Oh, okay. So culture, weather, I think it's all tied in.
Yeah.
They got a PTSD from war as well.
Oh, yeah, like, absolutely, yeah.
Russia invading in the 1940s, 1939. So a lot of kids grew up with like traumatized parents. Yeah. So there's kind of a mental health kind of like, there's like a wave of it, like a ripple effect still going. Culturally, they're very quiet people. So they don't talk about their emotions unless you get them drunk, which like they love to drink, and I think that shows a bit of the mental health thing again.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
They don't feel safe unless they drink to talk about their
lower
emotions.
Those inhibitions.
Dude, and once you lower them,
I think that's normal, right?
Yeah. Especially amongst like men as well. Like we tend to not talk until we have a few drinks into us.
Yeah, loosen the tongue up a bit.
Yeah, that's Finland love that.
Okay.
And they use that to release. And then so they have a culture of not talking. They have a history of like war and a little bit of like oppression, and then also the weather as well. So I'm not a very depressed and anxious. I'm quite anxious, but during the winter time, like your mental health takes a hit because the sun comes up at 10 o'clock in the morning, goes down at 2, right? And even when the sun is up, you're most likely at work.
And we complain about Perth weather when it's like this
Dude,
today.
This is all right.
This is luxury. We're so spoiled.
Yeah, it's a little bit cloudy. It's all good. A little bit rainy, but like, I mean, I can walk out with my shirt on, you know?
Yeah.
It's all good. And so the lack of sunlight, like it's physically draining. Like you're always tired. You're always craving like chocolates and stuff. Like when winter kicks in, man, I'm eating chocolate like crazy. You're like, any source of happiness, like where can I get it from?
Yeah.
And so what you see is what's known as seasonal affective disorder. Okay. It's SAD, like that's SAD.
Yeah.
So seasonal affective disorder.
Just a random message home. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that is depression that lasts for the winter months.
Oh man.
People will be put on antidepressants just for winter because the sun has such a beneficial effect on our mood. When you take it away, everyone gets sad, you know.
And you weren't affected like that when you lived in Finland? Did that have any effects on you?
Oh yeah. Okay. For the first, actually the first year was kind of like, that one didn't affect me too much because it's kind of a novelty. Yeah. You think it's kind of like, oh, this is fun. Yeah. You know, like the first year.
Not used to it, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, it's dark and it's snowy. But then like the preceding years, you start to get over it. It really does drag along. In fact, what we use to get over it is something known as it's a daylight or depression light therapy. Okay. And it's a box, you know, pretty big, and it's like the light that we have here. Yeah. Just you put it on your desk and it blasts your face with light, and it gives you the feeling that you've been out in the sun. Man. It really, really changes. And they use that they have ads for it all the time, public health announcements. Use the depression lights because they have an actual beneficial effect on people's mood.
The guy who created that must have done well for him. It's a guy or girl, I should say, who created that would have done very well for themselves.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple idea. Like, we need a bright thing in the sky.
Yeah.
When you take it away, people get sad.
Yeah.
So bring the bright thing in the house.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be 10,000 lux or higher.
Okay.
If it's not 10,000 lux, like this is 10,000 lux today, cloudy day. If it's not 10,000 lux, then it doesn't have the same effect. Yeah.
I've learnt a lot already today, man.
Yeah, man. 10,000 lux within 30 minutes of waking up. That's the public health announcement.
That's
so
nice.
When you wake up, get that, drink your coffee, whatever, who reads newspapers, whatever, stroll through social media, but have that giant light and sit in front of it for 30 minutes because it sets the circadian rhythms going.
And so you're still in Finland then. You were there for 6 years?
Yep.
How did you sort of get into the niche that you work with now? What's your elevator pitch, by the way, for your coaching business?
I guess I say finding fitness solutions for mental health disorders.
Okay,
right?
cool.
So fitness solutions is kind of whatever, right? Whether you want it to be the gym, whether you want to get into running, I'm just happy to get you moving. Right? That's all it is. So I work with the clients with depression, anxiety, or even if you're just really low motivation.
Yeah.
My job is to get you moving. Yeah. So I got into it. I just started looking for clients. I mean, I didn't have to look very hard in Finland because at a certain point you discover that the client will either disclose to you, like they'll tell you that they have problems with their mental health, or you will start to see signs. You start to see signs that they're kind of struggling mentally.
What are those signs?
So
what can I look for when looking at clients?
Yeah, so for depression, and actually anxiety, sleep disruptions are often the first thing.
Yeah.
So something's going up on people's lives when their sleep starts to get degraded. And once your sleep starts to go, that in turn will negatively affect the rest of your moods. It's kind of like a domino effect. Yeah. Right? And then because your mood is upset, your sleep gets worse and you kind of spiral out of control. So if a client talks about struggling with sleep, that's actually, in the DSM. The DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Diagnosing Mental Health Problems.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like it's this giant manual, and it gives you the diagnostic criteria for mental health diseases. And so sleep disruptions are actually one of the check boxes, right?
And it's so common.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's hard to tell because a lot of people have sleep problems now, I think, because we're up all night, scrolling and playing games. And again,
excessive phone use.
Oh, it's not good.
Is that another thing to look for?
Oh, actually, I don't know, actually. I don't think...
Is that where we escape reality? Or?
Yeah, what is that? What is the phone use? I mean, first of all, it's addictive.
Yeah.
It's really designed...
Looking for dopamine?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's designed to get you back. So, I don't know if it's a sign of mental health problem to be addicted to something that's addictive.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are addictive. If you're stuck on them, I don't think it means there's anything wrong with you. But when you can't get to sleep, that's often one sign. But people with depression often wake really early. So they wake up at 3 a.m. and they can't get back to sleep. So that's a mental health, that's kind of one of the check boxes. So they have, it's not insomnia, it's a different word, but it's you wake up early in the morning. So sleep disruptions. Then for depression, you'll have lack of pleasure. So that's kind of obvious. They're depressed. They don't get pleasure out of things that typically bring people pleasure. So, I mean, they're not getting, their brain isn't giving them the happy chemicals, and it really sucks because we know that exercise is good for you, but people with depression, they get less of a hit. Yeah. They get less of a hit out of anything. So depression will give you what's called anhedonia, just lack of pleasure. They don't even want to look for it either. And then that leads us to the next thing, which is a big lack of motivation. Yeah. So depression will affect the pleasure and reward centers of the brain. So when you have depression, you can't be stuffed.
Because you don't feel like you're going to get anything out of it.
And you don't what's
this going to do for me?
You don't even get anything out of it. So it's how the hell do you even get moving? You don't want to move. You don't like yourself. You don't even want to treat yourself with something that can make you feel good. So it's again, it's a never-ending cycle, right? So there's anhedonia, there's lack of motivation, there's lack of sleep, and then also just the general, the way they reflect on themselves Like there's
negative self-talk.
Negative self-talk. Yep. It's a barrage of negative thoughts, self-reflections, and also they tend to have like what's known as like a negativity bias. So they'll pick up on negative information a lot easier than, like, you could give them a compliment, right? You could give them 100 compliments, and then one person will say one bad thing. Yeah. They'll forget entirely about the compliments, focus only on the bad thing. They intensify the negative information, so they actually, their mind will kind of go in circles and make it worse than it actually is. And it's just like it's a horrible thing. You don't really I wouldn't want this myself at all. So yeah, to summarize, sleep problems, anhedonia, lack of pleasure, negative self-thoughts, self-assessments, and the lack of motivation, drive, a will to obtain pleasure. That's just for depression alone. And
someone's in this state, they either come to you or they're just listening right now and they've sort of identified themselves to be potentially in this state. Where do we start? How do we, I think we can learn a lot here.
Yeah. Where do you start? Like, I think starting in any way is the most important thing.
Okay, so taking some action.
Imperfect action.
Yeah,
like,
love that.
Imperfect action, like whether it's talking to someone, right? Because often you are not going to have the agency to make this on your own, right? As kind of horrible as that sounds, your brain is kind of working against you. So you need to be like, you need to stick your hand up and say, I can't get to the gym, or I can't get here on my own. Can we meet up, please? Because a lot of people, when they know that they have to be somewhere on time to meet someone, that's a pretty strong social construct. Like if I say, hey Johnny, let's get coffee tomorrow at 10, and you're there at 10 and I don't show up, like, that's,
you lose a lot of trust.
And so that's something that even people with depression or motivation issues, even they show up for that sort of stuff, so
they don't want to feel like they let you down, or let themselves down as well.
And then if there's money involved, like if you pay for a personal trainer 10 sessions ahead of time, then you have a sunk cost now as well. So you don't want to waste your money. You don't want to show somebody up. You don't want to stick them up. So the first thing you have to do is, I think, it's make that really hard, shitty admission to someone that I'm not feeling good and I can't get myself to do this. Can we meet up? Just talking to someone. And then of course, I think if you're really alone, if you don't actually have too many people, then there's like Beyond Blue and helplines, because once you get talking, those guys are really good at kind of leading you to the next step. So the first thing is just reach out in some way, imperfectly. Okay, you don't even have to nail it. Just I can't do it. Just be imperfect and just reach out to someone else. And then that's often when you notice that you've done that already, it starts to fulfill itself a little bit.
So someone with depressions, they've become aware. That's obviously important. They've become aware. They've put their hand up. They've reached out to you. How do you work together, man? How do you help someone? What's the process? So the
first thing, like if it's a depression case, I want to know like how bad it actually is, because I'm not comfortable helping someone who is like clinically depressed.
Of course.
Like that's
outside of scope.
That's outside of my scope. You're going to have to speak to a psychiatrist, so someone who can possibly hook you up with medications, because they do help. They get you out of the slump. I can't help people who are too far gone, like too far in the depressive slump. But someone who is in remission, so they've come off medications and they have a history of it, often it starts with a nice long conversation, talking about their situation, their history. And then really we just try to get them to do something that brings pleasure. As little as it is, it's known as behavioral activation. Okay. So get them into something, we get them moving. It might be a nutrition focused thing. It might be exercise focused, or it might even be as little as setting up like a bedtime, like a sleep schedule, right? Or getting outside and getting in the sun, because again, that has really potent antidepressant effects. Getting out in the sun first thing in the morning. It can be something like supplementing fish oil can help as well. Like just really, really, really small things, finding out what they're capable of doing. So they need to have a confidence So we have our confidence scale, our 1 to 10. I asked them before we get started on the plan, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think you can manage this? I want their answer to be like a 9 or a 10.
Okay.
So it has to be so easy that they feel it's 9 or 10 possible.
Yeah. So these quick wins help build momentum. Action. Some action. Like, hey, look, I can do this. Hey, I'm not the person I thought I was. You know?
And so sometimes you have to help them understand, because some people have a sudden burst of motivation. They're like, okay, let's do this. Let's get moving. But you have to kind of like, let's start small, right? This might sound silly, but all you're going to do next week is train once, right? Your goal is 1 time. And if they do that 2 weeks in a row and they're like crying for more, all right, let's double it. Let's go to two sessions. Let's go. And like they're winning on the way up rather than like setting a goal that's already here and they don't make it. Because again, they have that negative self-reflection. So if they don't succeed the goal,
you're reinforcing that belief if they fail.
Of course, I screwed up. I'm shit. I can't do anything.
I knew it was going to happen.
So you give them something like really easy and manageable, and you communicate all this stuff with them too. You know, because they might hear like, oh, all they want me to do is like set a bedtime. Like that's stupid, but you got to let them know the kind of pathophysiology behind the whole thing. You know.
Yeah, it's because we only sell. It happens when I speak on the phone to people at PPS. Our package is either 2 sessions or 3 sessions with a coach, and I think a lot of people would come to us with the mentality like, oh, man, I'm ready to take action. Why can't I do 6 sessions? And it's because you're probably just not going to. You know, it's just unrealistic. We don't want you to make that commitment that you won't be able to be consistent with. Start with what you can manage, build confidence. You're a non-gym person. You haven't been to the gym once in a year, and suddenly you want to commit to 6 sessions a week because you're all fired up and motivated. Let's build momentum. Let's work up rather than work down. I think it's just so important.
That's funny because you like run a business that makes money when you sell sessions, but in a way, you're kind of doing the kind of long-term approach.
Playing the long game.
Playing the long game, because I think any gym would love to sell a client 100 sessions.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
and then if they give up, just be like, screw it. Like, you didn't show up.
You just set someone up for failure. You're not creating change. You're not having the impact that you are meant to be having. And I vividly remember a guy trying to buy an extra package on top of the package he was already doing. I was like, no, man. You don't need it. Wow. It's not going to do anything. Put your wallet away. And he still remembers it because it's just true. It's like, it's not going to have an impact. It's not going to help you see any results, and you're probably just going to burn out and reinforce these beliefs that you've come to us with around failure and you not being a gym person. Let's work our way up. And it's sort of, I see we really resonate on that. What's the next steps? We've got our quick win. We've built some momentum. We've started to feel a bit better about ourselves. We've started to move. We're getting some sunlight. What's happening now?
Okay, so, well, really, I'm just following their progression. So I think I can use an example here. I had a client who he's just never been an exercise person. Like he was your typical kind of nerdy guy from school. He was in like the debating groups. You know, he works for a tech company. He's a real sort of cerebral guy. He solves the problems with his mind, not his body. So he's always kind of rejected his body in a way. Like whenever it comes to working out, he says, I'm not a workout guy. Like he's kind of built this core belief, right? So we got him doing the bare minimum, coming to see me in the gym once a week, the bare minimum, right? Then the pandemic happened, and then we had to shift to working out from home. So it was the bare minimum, 1 workout a week. And now we're actually up to 3. So you can just see how you just progress from one thing. We've done 1 session.
That's 3 times more than what he was doing.
So he's a guy. And now I don't even have to like hold his hand anymore. I check up with him twice a week. We just check in that he's doing the workouts, right? And now we're actually focusing on diet. So this is a guy who was completely ignored his body and his health because I'm not that guy. That's what he said. And now he's doing things like working out 3 times a week, getting enough protein, right? He's watching what he eats. He's lost a ton of body fat, built muscle, and all of this happened because it was just like ridiculously slow and boring progress. Like it's the shit that just doesn't show up on the internet because it's so slow and so boring. Like like I can advertise that he's done great, but like the time frame is so long. A lot of people see that time frame and they go,
it's
I
not
can't,
sexy, right?
I can't do that. It's so long and boring. But like that's really how it is, especially if you've built core beliefs around yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're not a fitness person. You just have to accept that like this is gonna move really slow. And you know what? He disappears sometimes, like in the past for a month or two, just completely off the ball, you know, like
so it hasn't been a perfect journey for him,
hell
obviously,
no.
which is important to reinforce.
And it's really important to acknowledge that, like especially if you've built a belief about yourself that you're not an exercise person. How long have you had that belief? 20 years. How long is it going to take to change that? You know, probably 20 years maybe, you know? But like you just got to keep showing up, right? I mean, all he did, which is to his credit, he never quit. He kept talking to me, you know? And I think that's where having a non-judgmental approach really helped, because he had really shit weeks, months, etc. And if I had given him judgment, you know, made him not feel good, I think he would have dropped off. You know?
So really important that you guys have had a relationship where he can make mistakes, he can fail, he can go off the radar, but despite all of that, he can stay in communication and come back to you and be open and openly admit that.
Just
that's
keep
huge,
coming,
man.
Just keep coming back to your coach. Like I have a piano teacher. I'm a really bad student. Like I didn't practice once the past 2 weeks. Like the last 2 weeks, I have not done it. I didn't even touch the keys. Right, there's dust on my piano. I showed up to my lesson yesterday, and again, like kudos to my teacher Lee, if you're listening. Lee was great because he just pick us up. Like there's no judgment. There's no why didn't you practice. There's no you should be doing better. Like the only goal that we have is just show up to the lessons. That's it. Like there is no progress for me that I'm trying to achieve. My only goal is to show up to the lesson once a week. That's it. And then you know what? I play piano when I feel like it, when I'm feeling good. It happens like intrinsically. It starts to happen. But the most important thing is I have this lesson that just keeps showing up every single week. It's always there. I don't quit that because I know that if I give that up, then I'm not going to practice at all. But that little lesson once a week, showing up to my coach, that is just what's bringing me back. Like I haven't given up. I've been doing it now for a year. I haven't given up, and I'm proud of myself, even though I'm using him as like a crutch to do it. It doesn't matter. I accept. I'm using my own advice. Like I know that I can't do it on my own, right? I'm not gonna pretend that I'm gonna learn piano. Like no, I need this guy there once a week, so I keep showing up.
You know? That's really powerful, man.
Just don't quit. Keep going up. Keep showing up to your coach.
And it can help you maintain a positive relationship with playing piano. Not doing it because you have to, doing it because you want to. Which once again, when it comes to training, you don't want to sort of get to a point where long term your client's like, man, I better go to training or else my coach is going to grill me and whatnot. You know, you want to come to the gym, you want to train.
Like just do the bare minimum, and like you go because you want to, you know, like if you feel like you're going because your coach is like breathing down your neck, like that's not a good relationship to have. But if your coach like takes you as you are, all of your crappy problems and excuses, and if they can take that and just listen and then go, all right, let's focus on the next thing. Like if they can be positive, like unconditional positive regard, if they can just always be positive and accept you for who you are and screwing up, like you're gonna keep showing up,
and then leave there happier than when you walked in. That's the main goal, right?
God,
you know, we sort of say it to the team here. Just make it your mission to have that person walk out with a bigger smile than when they walked in. You know, no matter what, that's all you need to do. Like how they got it, whether they hit a PB in the gym or whether you just made them feel good with some banter and some laughs, do something to reinforce that when they leave the gym, that was a positive experience. I'm glad I went.
Hey, you know, so this is a fun little, this is kind of a trick that I use.
What do you got?
It's a trick, I
Share
guess.
Your secrets, man.
One of my secrets is, at the end of the session, you always ask, like, how you feeling now? And they feel, you know, they're going to rag about how good they're feeling and I'm glad I did this. And I say, can you adopt your posture that you took when you came in here? Like, what did you look like when you came in? Or what did you feel like? So I get them to say how they felt, whatever. Maybe they come in, they're going, oh, I'm anxious and I'm stressed. Okay, how do you feel now? Like, show me the body language now. Like, can you exaggerate that? And they'll say, they take up more space. Like, I feel good, I feel big, I feel relaxed. So like, and then comparing the two, like this is how you felt when you came in.
Yeah.
This is how you felt now. Isn't that good? Like it kind of helps reinforce like my purpose, like as a coach.
Yeah.
Look, I'm here to make you feel better. Look at what you felt like when you came in. Look at what you feel like now, and just getting them to like, did you see that? You see how it's different?
Yeah.
You see what happens when you do this? And then that'll just like condition them to keep wanting to come back, which is
awesome,
which is a good thing for their health, you know.
I'm gonna use that tonight.
Yeah.
See how I go.
Like how'd you feel
I'm coaching
before?
tonight. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I'll try and find someone to use it on.
Yeah. What was your? How did you feel? Can you act it out? Can you show me? And then, how do you feel now? Can you act it out? Can you show me? Yeah.
What about the new? So that's, I guess, a lot of action taken around the training side, which I do feel, first and foremost, get someone invested in exercise in some form, like you said. What about nutrition and people with depression or mental health issues? How do we navigate that? That can be tricky.
Yeah, that again.
There's a lot of comfort in food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So people, I find what's funny, like most of my clients with depression, I haven't got people, I don't know, this just might be like my personal experience, but they don't tend to overeat, at least what I've seen. They're not eating too much. In fact, they're not eating at all or enough, you know? So like they don't feel motivated to cook, you know, so they might just skip meals completely.
Yeah.
Typically they're quite thin.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know if it's easier to have someone who's skinnier rather than overweight. I still haven't decided like which one's easier yet, but
it's
at least
harder when they're skinnier, but they also want to get leaner.
Oh, what? Like they want to also lose fat if they're already skinny?
Yeah, they don't see themselves in the same light that you may see them.
Yeah. It's like they might want to lose more fat than they've actually kind of than they've got available. It's like we should probably build muscle first.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. So I think it's like going back on the meal side of things with depression. Again, it's like finding out where they are now. Yeah. Like how shit is your situation? So I do 3-day food diaries.
Okay.
So like just take your phone and before you put something in your mouth, like take a picture of it and do that for 3 days straight and then just send me all the photos. Yeah.
Great idea. Yeah.
And that's kind of my typical like getting started on the nutrition thing. So before I have a conversation on nutrition, it's 3-day food diary and then I've got something to look at and we can talk about it together. And you've kind of got facts because when you ask someone about what they eat,
oh man,
their recall is like it's
they don't want they're obviously gonna make it sound better than what it is too. I ate that salad that one day.
That's the Hawthorne effect. So that happens. I mean, it's going to happen anyway. Like if I just told you, Johnny, that next 3 days you're gonna send me everything you eat, whether you even decide to or not, you're gonna start making healthier choices. Because you don't want to be judged. You know. So I do tell them like, be as ridiculous as you normally are. Yeah. Like I'm okay seeing McDonald's. I'm okay seeing pizza. It's totally fine, right? I'll eat McDonald's tomorrow if it makes you feel better. You know, like I do this stuff too. Yeah. Like I will eat crap too. It's okay.
Well, if your nutrition was perfect, you probably wouldn't be sitting here. that's what I say to people. Like,
right.
You know,
show me your ugly. You know, your boring, weird, gross food. I don't care. Show it to me. That's fine because then we can have a great conversation when it's raw and real. So it starts with a food diary and then it's just basically like I can ask them, you know, what would a perfect diet look like to you? Like how would you love it to look? Like it's like the magic wand. So if you could make anything happen, how would you love your food to look? Because then that also shows me like what they think is healthy nutrition. Like if you could eat perfectly, what would it look like? So then they'll tell you maybe it's going to have vegetables, you know, protein, like they'll say stuff that they know. And then you ask them, where do you think you are now compared to this on a scale of 1 to 10? And they might say like, oh, right now I'm like 4. Yeah. Like I'm nowhere near that. Okay. What can we do to get to 5 out of 10 instead? Like what's the one little step we can get? And so they might have some ideas. Again, I'm just fishing for ideas because they probably know. Of course, they probably know, so I'm getting them to say it. If they don't know, now it's my turn to give a suggestion. So it's usually like eat more whole food or something, or it's like cut this out, like some crap, or it might be some suggestion I have to almost every client. It's usually eat more protein. Yeah. Because like they're just skipping it completely, like especially breakfast. Like, you never see protein in breakfast. So it might just be something as little as find a source of protein for breakfast.
Yeah.
Like the one thing. And then it's a confidence check, scale of 1 to 10. How do you feel that you can add eggs to breakfast? Are we at a 9? Okay, if it's a 7, okay, what can we do to make it easier? Maybe it's protein smoothie in the morning.
Yeah.
Now they're at a 9. That's our thing that we're going to work on.
And then, that's how the day starts too.
Yeah. So start your day with some protein or whatever. And then it's checking up and following on. How did that go? Did it work? Adjust.
So once again, making it easy. The change has to be easy to start with. And you're just making it better than what it was. You know what I mean? It's not like,
don't overhaul.
Not from 0 to 100. It's just like, this now versus where you want to be, let's make one step forward. You know?
Exactly.
And a lot of people make the mistake because they either will stick to what they do now, which obviously isn't going to give them the change they're after, or they won't see the viability of changing because they don't want to get to that perfect point. You know what I mean? So they sort of just don't see the point. You know what I mean? Or I guess it's the perceived reality of achieving your goals. If someone's got a goal and they just don't think it's possible for them to actually achieve it, they won't take any action. It has to be realistic. Like, okay, I can actually see myself becoming that person I want to be now, so I can take action. But if, you know, like you say, we go back to comparing ourselves to the bodybuilder or the real fitness junkie in the marketing, if that's not relatable and if it doesn't seem realistic that you can actually achieve your goals, you're not going to take action with that person.
Self-belief. So you
goes a long way.
Get this. If you like, next week you're going to do all this and all this, and like, it just terrifies them. Like, taking that first step is just horrible. Like, you're embarking on an endeavor that you just know you're going to fail at. That's not fun to take off onto. Like,
it hurts your confidence.
I don't want to leave onto this journey. I'm just going to get my ass kicked. But all I got to do is mix protein with milk in the morning. I can do that. That's cool. And then I did it for a week. Like, I feel good about myself now. And now I can come to my coach and say I did a good thing. And then the next thing we can work on, whatever that is. You know?
And make it a habit. Maybe you don't have to do anything else right now. I just want you to do this for longer. So that's training, that's nutrition. What about, we've been touched on it just then, fear of failure. Obviously, clients with depression, mental health issues, that's going to be big for them, you know, rejection, fear of failure, humiliation. Those are the sort of things we don't want to feel. How do you navigate that stuff?
Oh yeah, so
or how would someone themselves navigate that?
So you're gonna screw up first thing, like off the bat. We're all gonna have mistakes.
Progress, not perfection.
Imperfect action. You know, whatever your catchphrase is. All right? Just go and get started and be shit and screw up. Cool. Don't go to the gym for the week. That's okay. That's gonna happen. Like, you're gonna feel terrified, and all this stuff is normal. Okay, you're gonna feel like an imposter. You're gonna feel like this isn't you.
You don't belong there.
All this stuff you're hearing, everyone feels it. That's gonna happen. You will screw up. That's probably a fact. If you don't, amazing, cool. But let's say now that you have screwed up. Okay, it's normal to screw up, and we have an option. Like, I just screwed up. I can either treat myself negatively and berate myself and kick my own ass. Right.
Dig that hole even deeper.
And it's so having a failure. It's a lot like suffering an injury, like a cut to your arm. So you've just wounded your ego in a way. You've just wounded yourself. Should we put a dressing on it? Should we care for it? Or should I just start scratching at it? You know, like, start tearing it back open again. That's the effect that negative self-talk and berating has. So what's the opposite? How do we care for ourselves when we've failed? So the opposite would be, for example, this is one of my run-of-the-mill kind of lessons that I teach people is, let's just say, have you got kids?
Me, no.
Okay.
No.
Let's just say you got a kid. Right, little 6-year-old boy, and he was supposed to eat his breakfast, but he didn't. He ate cereal instead. What would you say to, like, little Johnny? Like, what would you say to him if he made the same mistake? Chances are it wouldn't be, hopefully, berating, right? You would softly speak. You would softly speak to the guy. Johnny, it's okay, man. It's all right. Look, these things happen all the time. You know, it's okay. Look, we'll just do again tomorrow. We'll just try again tomorrow.
There's always breakfast another day.
So that is what I call the inner child technique. Right? You speak to yourself like you would to your son or your daughter, or even if you can't imagine a child, how would you speak to yourself when you were 5? Right? Little young Sam with the world ahead of him, and like not understanding the world and not having the emotional fortitude to handle like powerful or dismissive language, how would you speak to that little kid?
Yeah.
You're going to speak to yourself the same way, and then that act of like self-compassion will help bring you back on track a lot faster than treating yourself like shit.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really good techniques, man. Once again, another one I'll
that's
put in the pocket. So inner
child technique.
The inner child technique.
You guys,
this is gold.
Get this stuff. This is good.
And I think it's really good that, the listeners out there, if you're relating to this, we're trying to empower them to be able to go through some of this as well, and sort of identify and help themselves out. I'm sure there's a lot of people in situations like what we've just spoken about right now. So we've been through obviously how to navigate failure, because like you say, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
What about sort of, would you be able to go back then and measure someone's success right back to the start? Like, how are you sleeping now? Are you sleeping better? Is that important?
Yeah.
Do you revisit that stuff?
Yeah. I think, that's a really good point as well. Like, one method is like called looking back and looking forward.
Yeah.
So looking back is really good because that will strengthen their confidence.
Yeah.
So when you look back...
Man, I've come a long way.
Yeah. You can see how far you've come.
Yeah.
And so that is really like reinforcing. Like, I've done a marathon before, and...
You've done a marathon?
Yeah, I've done one. Yeah, dude, I would never do it again. I don't like it. It sucked. It was shit, but I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And they have, milestones. Like every kilometer you run, there's a milestone. And dude, if they didn't have that, I would be on this feeling.
You need those goalposts.
Dude, I'd be like, how far am I? Like, am I even getting anywhere? Like, I would feel like, dude, this thing's taken forever. Is this ever going to end?
You run for an hour, look back, and you can still see the start line.
Yeah. So, like, if you don't get that sense that you're moving, and they've tested this on rats. So, they call it, like, the way that you test a rat's motivation. Like, this is how they do the psychological studies. They drop a rat in, like, a bathtub, and so it can't get out anywhere. Okay. Right? Or they'll drop a rat in, like, a big swimming pool where it can't see the edges.
Yeah.
And so if the rat can't see how far it's swam, or if it's getting closer to the goal, if the goal continuously keeps moving away, then it will actually give up and it will drown. But then the nice thing is that they fish the rat out after it drowns. Like, despite, like, ignore how much trauma the rat now has from thinking it's going to die. They take the rat out of the water.
Character building.
Yeah. So they take the rat out of the water. But when they give the rat a goalpost to swim towards, it will sustain swimming a lot longer than before, and that's how they test motivation in rats. And I think, we're not rats, but our brains work in kind of the same way. So if we're not seeing the world moving past us, or if we're not seeing ourselves move forwards, then we're going to feel like we're not getting anywhere. Yeah. So that's why looking back is really important to see. This is why I like the Trainerize app. You know, you guys use Trainerize as well, because it shows you every session what you did
those
better.
Little medals and slick, man,
that is like...
And like the amount of reshares on Insta story from clients who have hit a milestone. It could be a bicep curl PB, right?
Doesn't matter.
And they share it, and it's just I could tell them they did a good job, but it's secondary to the app. Dude, getting the validation from the app is far more important in my opinion.
It's so like, and that's the milestone. It's so cool because like, and I was using the app for my own training and thinking like, because you have a session you think was crap, but I did like my accessories better, and I just feel like, that's cool.
That's session before and after too, because I might just finish a session and I can hear clients like, oh my god, I hit a PB, that's awesome. I'm like, yes,
yeah. That like, there's that validation. It's like the app works as like a cheerleader. Yeah, it's supporting you. You're seeing yourself move forward. Yeah, and so that's why looking back is so important, because like you're looking back and seeing that you've progressed, like I've kept all my workout diaries from back in the day, and it's fun to look back. And it was like, oh my god, I was failing a back squat like 90 kilos. Like,
and on social media, who doesn't love seeing before and after type posts? Not just the transformation, but I know like I shared how shitty my deadlifts were and how far they've come, or like maybe where the business started to where PPS is now, or and people love that stuff. It's feel good. They can see the journey, they can see the failures, but also see that the person and what they've transformed into. You love looking back on that. So probably the same reason Facebook has memories built into the app now. You can look back at your old photos and you can see even your old shitty fashion sense and be like, oh man, look how far I've come, you know.
The stupid things you used to say when
yeah.
God, 2009 was a shit year for me.
Self-reflection then, so important.
Yeah.
Reflection, gratitude, journaling, is that part of the process?
Yeah.
Because that's that same thing that keeps you in touch of, I am progressing, which is, once again, that thing I said, perceived reality of like the rat needed to know that it actually had a chance of surviving or else it would just give up. And also, that reflection, keeping people in touch with weekly wins, daily wins, how far they've come, where they used to be versus where they are now. Do you implement gratitude, journaling, stuff like that, reflection?
I mean, that's like kind of like one of the tools in my toolbox. Again, like I won't make everybody do it, but gratitude.
How do you determine who does that?
It's kind of like some people will bring it up and they say that they've heard about it and then they want to try it. And then so my job is whenever they have an idea that I think is good, I'm going to tell them that's a good idea. Let's try that. Because gratitude has been shown to improve quality of life in almost all the areas.
So good.
People will get sick less when they practice gratitude. People recover from setbacks. People take on endeavors that are outside their comfort zone when they practice. Just a little thing, writing 3 things down per day that you're grateful.
So good.
I mean, and this is the funny thing, because like we can both agree on this shit, you know, because we're both like, I think we're both like-minded and we're positive people. But people with depression can sometimes hear the gratitude idea and then, you know, the way their brain is going to go.
Of course, they're not going to see the pleasure in it.
Oh, this is stupid, but
I'm grateful to be depressed.
Yes. I mean, what can you be grateful for? But there's plenty of things.
It's always something.
Think about it. You can, like, I'm breathing.
If you're from Finland, you're grateful the sun's out.
Dude,
right now.
I'm never gonna forget this. Like the fact that we have such good weather here. That's always. When I do gratitude here, it's always the weather. Like it's such a good one.
Exactly.
But if you stick with it long enough, you actually train your brain to pick up on positive information more often. It's like you're training your vision to look for the color green. It's like if all you do is look for the color green, you get really good at looking for green. So like that's the same thing. You're just training your brain to like look for good stuff. And it can like pry a little crack in the door for some like pleasure and positivity to come in because you've got that negativity bias. So again, it's just you just have to stick to it and just keep doing it all the time. Even if it feels like it's not working, you keep on showing up. Right? Maybe your coach has set a homework for you, you know, and maybe you want to just read a page of your gratitude journal every week just to stick to it, you know, because again, you need help to make sure you do it, right? If I just say, do your gratitude journal and then leave you, I have to actually check in.
There's some follow-up.
Follow up. Did you do it? No. Okay, well, what's the issue? You know, how do we get there?
And just how it helps to reframe setbacks too. You know, what'd you learn? What have you learnt from this setback? What can you do differently next time? You know, what are you grateful from this experience? You know, rather than it being a negative experience that you know you had a setback with your training, nutrition, or your lifestyle habits, you can reframe it and look at how that experience has actually benefited you in the long run. There's a lesson learned. You know, you've become wiser from it. There's something you might not repeat, a pattern. You know, which is easier. Sometimes you do have to learn from your mistakes. You know,
you either win or learn.
You
either win or you learn, and both are good. Right? Both
Podcast
are good.
title just there.
Yeah, bro. There we go. You either win or learn. Sam and
awesome,
Johnny.
man. Awesome. So we've covered some really awesome stuff, man. Like if you're going to summarize this, then for the listener, that potentially got depression or signs of and feel they've been identified in this podcast and they're starting to really pick up on things. Top 3 tips once again, man. Summarize.
All right, let's go. Summary. So reaching out, I have to say, I'll put that at the top. So reach out first. Because you're going to have trouble doing anything on your own. Imperfect action. Okay. It doesn't need to be anything special. Reach out, do anything. So organize with somebody to do something. And then I guess I would just say like stay accountable, like stay in contact. Like it's going to help you if you continuously have someone to show up to.
Awesome, man. I love that. And I think just if there's any other coaches listening out there, there's some great lessons for all of us on how to communicate and work with clients of all type a lot better, because we can really go back and identify the importance of trust in a relationship with a client so that you can work through setbacks. Sam, how do we find you? Where are you?
You can find me on Instagram at Sam_Samuels. coachsamstacy.com, and maybe at a gym near you in Perth.
And you're working on a project right now. Tell us
Yes.
a little. Can you tell us a little
Yeah,
bit more
of course.
about that, man?
So I'm building a exercise program and educational course for people with depression and anxiety. It's called STRONGMOOD, and it involves a tailored exercise program. So you choose from a list of programs which one suits your needs. So that'll be on the Trainerize app, and then there'll also be video lessons and writing lessons, because obviously if you haven't got a therapist to talk to, you need to conduct the narrative yourself. So video lessons on a lot of the things that we talked about today, about like self-esteem, building confidence, taking first steps, getting accountable. All of that stuff is built into the course to teach you the importance, but then also the exercises at the end, so you actually internalize it and have to write it out yourself. So it builds change, not just you have a program what to do, but it also has very important character building stuff as well.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing how all that plays out.
Thank you, Johnny.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.